Got the vase. Oh, there's a tree.
Good evening. Welcome to South Lake Christian Church Christmas Eve first service. And we're going to go ahead and get started and singing O Come Emmanuel.
Let the boys and holy hands come and cheer our spirits by thy hand and feet. Disperse the gloomy cloud and against our shadows put to flight. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. The fountains of nations rise, our hearts along and rise. This thou art and be thyself our King of kings. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel has come. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel has come. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel has
and our sons and daughters. Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you new? This child that you delivered will soon deliver you. Mary, did you know that your baby boy will put sight to the blind man? Mary, did you know that your baby boy will calm the storm with his hand? Did you know that your baby boy has walked where angels trod? When you kissed your little baby, you kissed the face of God. Oh, Mary, did you know? Oh, Mary, did you know? The blind will see, the dead will hear, the dead will live again. The lame will speak, the dumb will speak, the praise of the Lamb. Did you know that your baby boy is Lord of all creation? Mary, did you know that your baby boy will lead the whole nation? Did you know that your baby boy is heaven's perfect plan? The sleeping child you're holding with the great I am. Oh, Mary, did you know? Oh, Mary, did you know? Mary, did you
Good evening. Merry Christmas. Christmas is a time for telling stories. Some are ancient stories, stories about shepherds, and angels, and a baby born in a feed trough. Some of them are stories from our childhood, stories of elves and flying reindeer and snowmen who come to life under the spell of Christmas magic. Some are stories specific to your families that you tell every year that mean something special to your history. Story was, in fact, Jesus' favorite way of teaching. So often the story of Jesus is portrayed as some kind of romantic, sentimental tale, much like the decorations and stories and carols that we hear this time of year. Christmas is a time for faith and family and food and fun. It's a time to back up from the pace of a normal world, at least for just a season, and connect with the sentiment of a different way of life. But as we've talked over the last few weeks of Christmas here at Southlake, when we desanitize Christmas, we come to realize that it can be a little messy. It's not always like the movies that we see on Hallmark. One of my favorite Christian comedians, his name is John Acuff, he says, "My favorite Christmas Hallmark movie is the one where the busy single executive has lost sight of the meaning of Christmas. But then a Ryan Reynolds type, not actual Ryan, but like budget Ryan, teaches her the meaning of Christmas again, and they kiss at midnight." Have you seen that one? I think that's all of them. This week, my wife, Kelsey, was watching a Hallmark movie, and with about 8 minutes left, she said, they're not going to have time to get together. There's only 8 minutes left. And of course, they found time to get together with minutes to spare. You know, we want a Christmas that is neat, with no tree needles on the floor. We want an away in the mangers, little Lord Jesus, no crying he makes. But that's not reality. There have been Christmases where the gifts were thrown out with the wrapping paper, toys that didn't work straight out of the box, or batteries that weren't purchased and now all the stores are closed. Christmases where the turkey is overcooked and dry. Just today, very specific to us, for real, we lost a gift that we ordered a long time ago that was one of our main gifts of Christmas. Can't find it anywhere. This is Christmas sometimes. Christmas is messier than we like to admit. We often overlook that the manger and the cross are both made of wood, and that the little child that we adore this season would grow up and be looked upon in a very different way. And so this evening, since Christmas is a time for telling stories, I want to share a story. In this setting that's a little bit different than our typical Sunday morning, I want to share with you a parable of sorts to celebrate the greatness of the gift of that first Christmas and what it might cost us should we choose to receive it. Once upon a time, in a large forest, there lived a very furry bunny. He had one lop ear, a tiny black nose, and unusually shiny eyes. His name was Barrington. Barrington was not really a very handsome bunny. He was brown and speckled, and his ears didn't stand upright. But he could hop, and as I have said, he was very furry. In a way, winter is fun for bunnies. After all, it gives them an opportunity to hop in the snow and look back and see the tracks that they have made. And so in a way, winter was fun for Barrington. Yet in another way, winter made Barrington very sad. For you see, winter marked the time where all of the animal families in the forest would get together in their cozy homes to celebrate Christmas. He could hop and he was very furry, but as far as Barrington knew, he was the only bunny in the forest. When Christmas Eve finally came, Barrington did not feel like going home all by himself. And so he decided that he would hop for a while in the clearing at the center of the forest. Hop, hop, hippity hop, Barrington made tracks in the fresh snow. Hop, hop, hippy hop, and he would cock his head, look back, and see the wonderful designs that he had made. Bunnies, he thought to himself, can hop, and they're very warm, too, because of how furry they are. But Barrington didn't really know if this was true of all bunnies, since he had never met another one. When it got too dark to see the tracks that he was making, Barrington made up his mind to finally go home. On his way, however, he passed a large oak tree. High in the branches, there was a great deal of excited chattering going on, and so Barrington looked up. It was a squirrel family. What a marvelous time they seemed to be having. "Hello up there," called Barrington. "Hello down there," came the reply. "Having a Christmas party?" asked Barrington. "Oh yes," answered the squirrels. "It's Christmas Eve. Everybody's having a Christmas party." "May I come to your party?" said Barrington softly. "Are you a squirrel?" "Oh, no." "What are you then?" "A bunny." "A bunny?" "Yes." "Well, how can you come to our party if you're a bunny? Bunnies can't climb trees." "That's true," thought Barrington thoughtfully. "But I can hop, and I'm very warm and fluffy." "We're sorry," called the squirrels. "We don't know anything about hopping and being furry, but we do know that in order to come to our party, you have to be able to climb trees." "Oh, well," said Barrington. "Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!" chattered the squirrels. And the unfortunate bunny hopped toward his tiny house. At this point, it was beginning to snow when Barrington reached the river. The riverbank was wonderfully constructed, a house of sticks and mud. Inside there was singing. "It's the beavers," thought Barrington. "Maybe they will let me come to their party." And so he knocked on the door. "Who's out there?" called a voice. "Barrington Bunny," he replied. There was a long pause, and a shiny beaver head broke the water. "Hello, Barrington," said the beaver. "May I come to your Christmas party?" asked Barrington. The beaver thought for a while, and then he said, "Oh, I suppose so. Do you know how to swim?" "No," said Barrington, "but I can hop, and I'm very furry and warm." "Sorry," said the beaver. "I don't know anything about hopping and being furry, but I do know that in order to come to our party, you have to be able to swim." "Oh, well," Barrington muttered, his eyes filling with tears. I suppose that's true. Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas," called the beaver, and he disappeared beneath the surface of the water. Even as furry as he was, Barrington was starting to get cold. And now the snow was falling so hard that his tiny bunny eyes could scarcely see what was ahead of him. He was almost home, however, when he heard the excited squeaking of field mice beneath the ground. It's a party, thought Barrington. And suddenly he blurted out through his tears, "Hello, field mice, this is Barrington Bunny. May I come to your party?" But the wind was howling so loudly and Barrington was sobbing so much that no one heard him. And then when there was no response at all, Barrington just sat down in the snow and began to cry with all his might. Bunnies, he thought, aren't good to anyone. What good is it to be furry and able to hop if you don't have any family on Christmas Eve? Barrington cried and cried, and when he stopped crying, he began to bite on his tiny bunny foot. But he did not move from where he was sitting in the snow. Suddenly, Barrington was aware that he was not alone. He looked up and strained his shiny eyes to see who was there. And to his surprise, he saw a great silver wolf. The wolf was large and strong, and his eyes flashed fire. He was the most beautiful animal Barrington had ever seen. For a long time, the silver wolf didn't say anything at all. He just stood there and looked at Barrington with those strong, terrible, awesome eyes. Then slowly and deliberately, the wolf spoke. "Barrington," he said in a gentle voice, "why are you sitting in the snow?" "Because it's Christmas Eve," said Barrington, "and I don't have any family, and bunnies aren't any good to anyone." "Bunnies are too good," said the wolf. "Bunnies can hop, and they are very warm." "What good is that?" Barrington sniffed. "It's very good indeed," the wolf went on, "because it is a gift that bunnies are given, a free gift with no strings attached. And every gift that is given to anyone is given for a reason. Someday you will see why it is good to hop and be warm and furry." "But it's Christmas," moaned Barrington, "and I'm all alone. I don't have any family at all." "Of course you do," said the great silver wolf. "All of the animals of the forest are your family." And then the wolf disappeared. He simply just wasn't there anymore. Barrington had just blinked his eyes, and when he looked, the wolf was gone. "All of the animals in the forest are my family," thought Barrington. "It's good to be a bunny. Bunnies can hop. That's a gift." And then he said it again. "A gift. A free gift." And so on into the night, Barrington worked. First, he found the best stick he could, and that was difficult because of the snow. Then hop, hop, hippity-hop to the beaver's house. He left the stick just outside the door with a note on it that read, "Here is a good stick for your house. It is a gift, a free gift, no strings attached. Signed, a member of your family." "It is a good thing that I can hop," he thought, "because the snow is very deep." Then Barrington dug and dug some more, and soon he had gathered enough dead leaves and grass to make the squirrel's nest warmer. Hop, hop, hippity-hop. He laid the grass and leaves just under the large oak tree and attached this message, "A gift, a free gift, from a member of your family." It was late when Barrington finally started home, and what made things worse was that he knew a blizzard was beginning. Hop, hop, hippity-hop. Soon, poor Barrington was lost. The wind howled furiously, and it was very, very cold. "It certainly is cold," he said out loud. "It's a good thing I'm so furry, but if I don't find my way home soon, I might freeze." Squeak! Squeak! And then he saw it. A baby field mouse lost in the snow, and the little mouse was crying. "Hello, little mouse," Barrington called. "Don't cry. I'll be right there." Hippity-hop, and Barrington was beside the tiny mouse. "I'm lost," sobbed the little fellow. "I'll never find my way home, and I know I'm going to freeze." "You won't freeze," said Barrington. "I'm a bunny, and bunnies are very furry and warm. You stay right where you are, and I'll cover you up." Barrington lay on top of the little mouse and hugged him tight. The tiny little fellow felt himself surrounded by warm fur. He cried for a while, but soon, snug and warm, he fell asleep. Barrington had only two thoughts that long, cold night. First, he thought, "It's good to be a bunny. Bunnies are very furry and warm." And when he felt the heart of the tiny mouse beating regularly, he thought, all of the animals in the forest are my family. The next morning, the field mice found their little baby boy asleep in the snow, warm and snug, beneath the furry carcass of a dead bunny. Their relief and excitement were so great, they didn't even think to question where the bunny had come from. And as for the beavers and squirrels, they still wonder which member of their family left the little gift for them that Christmas Eve. After the field mice had left, Barrington's frozen body simply lay in the snow. There was no sound except of that of the howling wind, and no one anywhere in the forest noticed the great silver wolf who came to stand beside that brown lop-eared carcass. But the wolf did come, and he stood there, without moving or saying a word, all Christmas Day, until it was night, and then he disappeared into the forest. I know that this is not your typical Christmas story, not quite Hallmark. Usually all of those are about joy and festivities and new life and peace. But this story, about a little bunny struggling with his place in the forest, and in the end is just a frozen carcass forgotten in the snow, tells a different kind of story. In a season where so often the focus is on getting, the story of Barrington is all about giving. The giving of a free gift. When I hear the story of Barrington, the story of this free gift, I think of the free gift that we have available to us in Christ. And I think about how often I fail to remember that grace is not just a gift to receive, but it's also a gift to give, a gift to live out. And maybe you feel like Barrington this Christmas, small, left out, lonely, sad, vulnerable. But Christmas reminds us that even in those moments, we are not alone. That we have the opportunity to live out moments in life. That God steps in to remind us that even in these lowest moments, we have the most to give. Why should Barrington give a stick to the beavers, the leaves to the squirrels? They didn't do anything for him. In fact, they left him feeling isolated. I look at Barrington, though, and I see that there's no limit to the giving of grace, even to those who had hurt him, to the point where he would give of his very life. I said this is not the typical Christmas story, but maybe it should be. Because ultimately, the story of Barrington is the story of Christmas. And even though this is a time of celebrating Jesus' birth, it's also a time to ultimately acknowledge his death. That what began in the manger ends on the cross. Christmas helps us to remember that we serve a God who offers limitless grace. In Christmas, we celebrate the joy of his life, the Creator coming to live among his creation. But at Christmas, we also celebrate the sacrifice in his death, the immortal experiencing mortality, so that we who are destined for death could live. And so tonight, as we are here on the eve of Christmas, let us celebrate both the death and birth of our Lord, the grace given to us and the grace we give to others. And the story of a small brown rabbit and a tiny baby boy who would one day lay down his life to save us. One of my preacher friends said today, if he is risen as the call of Easter, then he is here as the call of Christmas. Another one chimed in that it is because he is risen that we claim and proclaim he is here. And so that's what we seek to do during this season. In just a moment, as Joel and the musicians lead us in Silent Night, a couple of gentlemen are going to come up and light their candles, and those are going to spread all through this room. And that's a reminder to us that what began in the manger and led to the cross didn't end there, but ultimately resulted in an empty tomb. And the light of the world gives us a light to share into the darkest places of our world. Following that time, at the end of Silent Night, we'll extinguish those candles that point, we'll recognize Jesus' death on our behalf. We invite you during that time to come forward and take your communion. You can go back to your seat and take it during your time. At that point, our services will conclude for the evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Merry Christmas.
This concludes our service. Feel free to stand as many minutes as you want, reflecting on what we talked about tonight. But our service is complete. As of right now, you please